welcome in everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. I am here with the Philly Sports Guy and Stat Guy. And of course, Philly is painted up. Let's go.
Hey, you know what? Lots of stuff going on, and it's every day is like I'm going to be painted up. It seems so. It's Red October, baby. It's Red October.
Yeah.
So, just getting excited.
All right. So, it's too bad Jay's not here because obviously we need to bury the Astros.
Wah, 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 wah.
But I wonder if much short.
I wonder if Joe will show up today either. Joe Tranchina.
Yeah.
He's a big Astros fan too. And no dice. I said it yesterday, and I told him, I said, I'm not even talking smack. I think that it was just a tough pull by the Astros. Yeah. I thought that Detroit was just playing inspired ball, and it was all inspiration that kind of won that game too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, and I think they're going to give Cleveland a tough fight. It's not going to be a simple series for Cleveland.
No, I think that'll be a fun series to watch.
However, the other series is going to be a weird one because I can't believe that Baltimore got spanked. 2 games, 1 run.
Yeah, I think the Royals they get dispatched quickly in this next round.
I agree. I don't see any reason on why the Yankees are not going to just mow them down. The fact that Baltimore's bats just disappeared. I mean, it's like, how do you go 2 games and score 1 run?
Right.
So to be fair, he would have if he didn't always have a Tuesday and Thursday obligation. I think he would have showed up for this one. But it is convenient. I'll give you that. How's it going, Win? Although it's not even fun to bury him because it's just, it just wasn't good baseball. Like,
it wasn't. I mean, it literally was. Like I said, I knew that Detroit was going to just pull it off. That they were just playing better and more sound, and it came about.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
I mean,
October's here.
To be fair to the Royals, though, the Royals did have one of the best starting rotations in baseball this year. So, I mean, seeing them hold the Orioles to 1 run was a little bit of a surprise, but seeing them kind of contain that offense, I guess necessarily wasn't a surprise because their starting rotation's ERA was a 3.5. So it's not like they had a bad rotation. As a team, their ERA was a 3.76. So, I mean, that's what's kept them in the game most of the time has been their pitching.
Right. Well, now, obviously, because they played these 2 games, they've used their best pitcher and their second best pitcher, obviously. In the rotation, I guess they're just going to be short on him on game 1. You're going to have to use, like, your third pitcher for game 1.
Yeah, so yes. The ones they use in this series would be games 2 and 3 against the Yankees.
That's what I suspect as well.
Who they would go with in game 1 is a question. I'm trying to see who is their number 3 starter, I guess, or who they consider their number 3 starter. Because I don't even know who their number 3 starter would be. You have Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo are their top 2.
Well, and I think about it as whoever just does best against the Yankees is who you put up.
Yeah.
Like out of whoever's left.
It's probably gonna be Michael Wacha starting game 1. And then Brady Singer would be the other one that would start. Michael Wacha was 13-8 with a 3.35 ERA this year.
Okay.
And he was their number 3. Brady Singer was 9-13 with a 3.61 ERA, so his ERA wasn't terrible. He's their number 4.
Yeah, but he won't
Frankie's out
pitch.
here
He won't
thinking they're
pitch
going to get
for
shelled.
a week.
Yeah, Seth Lugo was 16-9 with an even 3. He's the one that pitched yesterday, and then Cole Reagans was 11-9 with a 3-1.
So, do you pitch maybe your third and your fourth in the first 2 games in Yankee Stadium? Allow them to do that.
No,
you have your
I would pitch Michael Wacha for sure to start, but Brady Singer's 0-4 with an 11.85 ERA at Yankee Stadium.
Woo.
So you're not going to throw him in game 2.
Okay. All right. That makes more
That
sense.
makes sense.
You could see him go game 3 if they wanted to push Seth Lugo back to game 4, but I think they'll just go kind of the same order they just did, except Michael Wacha would go 1, and then he would go Reagans 2, Lugo 3, and then if you need Brady Singer in game 4, then you have him at Kauffman Stadium where his ERA is only like a 3.5.
Well, if you do it that way, because ultimately you would be pitching your number 3 pitcher in game 4, right? It's 4 days, 5 days.
Their number 3 is Michael Wacha. He's got game 1. Their number
Right.
1
That's what I'm saying. But that starts on Saturday.
Yep.
You got Sunday, day off on Monday. Actually, they don't even play on Sunday. It's the NL's. The AL doesn't play. They play on Monday, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
So they might not even need Brady Singer this whole series because of how it plays out. Because if you go Wacha Saturday, then he's got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. He'd be good to go for game 4. So you might only need your top 3 in this series.
Yeah, that's all you should because you got game 5. It's only game 5. You got to make sure that you get your best group. The fact that they have that extra day off helps them.
Yeah.
In that regard. I don't know that it's going to make a difference though. I mean, it's I see the Yankees just trouncing them.
Yeah,
What was the season series? What was the season series Royals against the Yankees?
5-2 Yankees.
5-2. That sounds like they were going for the sweep and they won on the Sunday each time.
I think actually
Probably.
I think the Royals actually won the season series at Yankee Stadium. So I think that was a 4-gamer there, a 3-gamer there.
Well, it was
So yeah,
5-2 was the problem.
So the Yankees took 3 of 4 at Kansas City, and the Royals went 2-1 at Yankee Stadium. Or no, 1-2, whatever it was. Yeah, so the Royals
they won 1 game in each of the series.
And the Royals did lose a 4-3 game in 11 innings at Yankee Stadium as one of those games, and then they beat them 5-0 with Seth Lugo pitching. So Lugo got him 5-0 at Yankee Stadium.
All right. Okay, we'll see. I just don't see how they're going to compete. They don't have the bats.
No, and then Brady Singer lost 10-4 at Yankee Stadium this year.
Yeah, they got spanked.
And they're about to again.
Yeah, I like I said, I thought that the Baltimore series would have been a lot better, but you're right, Frankie. But we only got something to go on here. You know what I mean? It's like obviously it's October. The Yankees could poop the bed. They haven't made it to a World Series since 2009. You know what I mean? So they could really poop the bed here. Then you see the Royals going again, and then we could have a rematch of the 1980 World Series, Royals versus the Phillies. I would take the Phillies every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing is about this, though, 3 of the 4 teams left in the AL are from that AL Central, which was supposed to be one of the worst divisions.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Jamie, because Jamie's been trolling me all week long about how the Eagles can't beat the Buccaneers.
That's fair.
I can't argue. I can't even argue the point. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I mean, I just when it comes to the Mets, I just feel like the Mets are always trying to self-sabotage. So, like, there's no scenario where even if they were playing the best in baseball, I'd be like, yeah, they're not making it to the series. Just on principle, on the entire time I've been watching baseball, like they find ways to lose. It's like the San Diego or LA Chargers now. Like even when they had an amazing team, they're like, yeah, let me just kill myself here.
Exactly.
So,
Well, you
that-
know what? It
that's-
was interesting yesterday. You saw I was watching the seventh inning, and they went out to go talk to the pitcher, and I'm like, is it maybe too early to push him out like now? And of course, the next batter smacks a home run. I'm like, well, wrong decision made by the manager. Perfect. So yeah, I guess it was the eighth inning then, because it was.
Yeah. The best part of the day was the hit against Josh Hader in the Astros game where it went from 2-2 to 5-2. And they were showing it that Josh Hader's making $19 million a year this year, or $19 million a year, and the Tigers' playoff roster is $18.6 million.
Nice.
So their entire playoff roster is making less than Josh Hader, and yet Hader's the one that serves up the game-winning bases clearing double.
Perfect. It's
I like it
expensive.
like that.
That was an expensive loss for Hader
19 million. That's it.
for their whole playoff roster. Yep.
Whole playoff roster. The whole Detroit Tigers playoff roster
Yep.
is getting
That's
paid
amazing.
19 million.
Yep.
Uh,
And 50% of it comes from two people. 50% of it comes from Tarek Skubal, and then obviously Parker Meadows.
See, what annoys me now. So I mean, as we're saying that, I mean, not for nothing. I know that Detroit's going to be considered a small town, small market town for baseball, but I mean, they make more money in television revenues.
Yes.
So you have to. They should force them to have a minimum.
Well, they do, because you got to remember Javier Baez is out. He's making 26, 27 million just on his own. If he was on the playoff roster, that would take that roster up over 50 million almost. And then they have two pitchers that are injured that are making probably, I think, 11 and 8 million combined. So it's just that the ones that are making the most money on that roster just happen to not be on the playoff roster right now because they're injured. So just the 26 guys that they chose to go on the playoff roster are only making 18.4 million combined between all 26.
And they swept the Astros.
Yeah, Tarek Skubal's making, I think, 7 million. Parker Meadows is making, I want to say, 5 million, and then Jake Rogers is making 3 million, which is 15 million just out of those three players, and the rest of them are just on minor league deals.
Yeah. Well,
Crazy.
it's interesting. You know what? Here, check this. Oh, here, let me ask this question. This may take you a minute there, stat guy. What is the smallest, I guess, denomination of, who won the World Series
For payroll?
for payroll?
I know the team, but I don't know what the actual money was.
Okay.
Who's the team?
When the Marlins won the World Series in 97.
No way. No way. And I'll tell you, I know that for a fact because Darren Dault was making a lot of money. He bought that World Series. No chance that's the least amount. If you told me 2004, whenever they did that second one.
It could be 03 too. Because I know it's the Marlins. It's the Marlins. So it's the 2003 Marlins. The 2003 Marlins payroll when they won the World Series was $35 million, which came out to be $440,000 per person on that roster.
35 million. And they had Sheffield on that team, did they not?
Not in 03, no. They had Miguel Cabrera at 20 years old. They had Pudge Rodriguez. They had Dontrell Willis, Josh Beckett, who were both on minor league deals at that point. You had Brad Penny, Carl Pavano, Mike Lowell, Derek Lee.
Okay.
So a lot of the players they had were, they were outside of like Derek Lee, Pudge Rodriguez, and probably Carl Pavano were probably the only ones making 5-6 million. Everybody else is probably in that minor league deals because Josh Beckett was 21. Miguel Cabrera was 20. Willis, I think, was 22 or 23, and the Cubs traded him to Miami at the end of 2002, so chances are he was still on his minor league deal when they called him up.
Huh. That is interesting.
Yeah,
but I knew it couldn't have been the 97 team. I knew that was the one that had Sheffield.
Yeah, the 97 Marlins were 51 million.
Yeah, but He bought that. He literally bought that because he brought in Darren Dalton for that team. That was Darren getting his ring.
Yeah.
Literally the Phillies traded him to Florida, and then he went into that locker room and owned it. He's like, it's my team now, bitches. You're gonna start doing things the way I do it. It won him a championship.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you're not mad if you get the ring,
right? So, but 51 million. That's because he got all of his players. He bought that championship at the end. Like, he literally was trading away all of his good players for highline players.
It's only dumb if it doesn't work.
100%.
Just trying to give you your pizza.
Hey, you know what? I will definitely do that. I was thinking about maybe getting some mushrooms on it. But yeah, see, the problem is that my shipping address and where I live are two separate places. So don't worry. You are going to get a chance to give me pizza. Who knows? I might even come out for a hockey game this year.
Right on.
Actually, I think we play you guys early, so that might be tough. If it was after football season, then I would do it. I didn't find that type of connect in Brazil. I would have loved that. I'd have been like, hey, yes, just ship them my way.
Yeah, that'd have been a different kind of trip.
Yes, it would.
Oh, man.
But if everybody's wondering why I'm painted up today, just so to give everybody the heads up, I was interviewed today by NBC, and they are going to, they're produced a story about me for Red October. So they started the interview with just Jamie, and then we all went into the bathroom together and painted. I got my face painted up. So
available on OnlyFans.
Let me tell you.
Link in the bio.
Exactly. So that's why I painted up today. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I will not be here. So.
Yep. Where are you headed?
So tomorrow, I have a friend of mine who his brother passed away from cancer, and the family. He was a big Eagles fan and a big Philly sports guy fan, and the family asked if I would attend the party, not the funeral. I was gonna. They initially asked for the funeral. I'm like, listen, I think that, because he's a friend of mine too. So I don't want to be the Philly sports guy when I'm there for my friend, and then afterwards when they're having the party, let's do it. You know what I mean? Yep. Then I'll get painted up for the celebration of life, not necessarily the mass or the viewing.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. That would be that'd be some interesting pictures.
You probably get some interesting looks on that one.
Well, the family initially asked me, and I was amenable to it. I just didn't. The more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know that that's just appropriate. You know what I mean? Like, it's just let give everybody a moment to grieve. And being in that setting, I just don't feel it's appropriate, so.
No, that's completely understandable.
So, but yeah, we could definitely party afterwards, and it's going to be, it was his children who asked for that.
Okay.
So, they're a big fan, and that was actually his profile picture was me with his kids.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. So that's why I will not be here tomorrow, unless I'm just jumping on to say F the Mets.
I mean, that could happen.
That could very well happen. I think,
So moving over to college football, we have, oddly enough, Colorado is making noise for things not on the field. And this one had to do with Cam. And it's funny because I don't normally agree with anything Cam says. He's usually talking a lot of nonsense for the most part. But in this particular case, he was talking about Shedeur, and he kind of had a point. So we're going to play the little soundbite here. And this one was taken from the Unk and Ocho, podcast here, but I forget what it's called. But here we go.
Look, my whole thing with Shedeur is this.
Mm-hmm.
You followed him since he was at Jackson State, correct?
Yeah, even when he was in high school.
Right?
Yeah.
What win can he hang, like what performance
Can you hang your hat on?
can you hang your hat on in college?
Yeah. The only thing I had was like that TCU or that Nebraska game his first year. This year,
We're talking about TCU, and they ended up not being a good team.
yeah. Nebraska last year was subpar. Ain't like he beat. That's true. And you can't say, well, you was at Auburn, he was at Colorado. It was like Auburn wasn't no favorite to win before you got there. Nobody was picking Auburn to win no national champion. For sure. I don't even think they even thought y'all was gonna have a winning season before you got. Yeah. Yeah.
It was motherfuckers on our team that didn't even think that we was capable of. All I'm gonna say is this:
They don't get it mistaken. That's Beeman over there.
be careful with them comparisons.
I like that his co-host was taking some shots at him too. It's the only reason I let it play that long because it's funny. But but I mean, he's not wrong, right? Like, I mean, when you look at the wins that they've had, there hasn't been any amazing wins. They beat up on bad teams, and you're required to beat up on bad teams.
Mhm.
I mean, college football is you have to win with style points. It's not like the NFL where a win's a win, right? Like if you're beating up on bad teams, you're supposed to blow them out. And when they were going against ranked teams, they mostly haven't been good. And TCU, yeah, they were in the national championship the year before, but they lost so much talent that, them going head up week one looked like it was going to be a good game, looked impressive. And then you watched what TCU did the rest of the year and you're like, oh, they were actually just a bad team. So he didn't say anything that wasn't true. Shedeur took some exception to it. I don't have that sound bite, but basically they walk out to the middle of the field before the UCF game. And, Shedeur just says, you're on some weird shit. And he said, there's too many cameras, but we'll talk. Right. So, kudos to him, I guess, for not airing it on camera. Right. Because I think, had this been last year, it would have just been like a weird thing that would have happened in the middle of the field. But he took exception to the fact that he doesn't think that he had a signature win, but he's kind of not wrong.
Yeah.
he isn't wrong. And they haven't had a signature win yet. Both Shedeur and his old man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So until they really get that, I mean, what are they holding there? They're holding down the fact that they beat Colorado State last year. I mean, is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. And what did that team do? Nothing. Right. It's your crosstown rival. Who cares? I mean, now obviously that game means something to them, but that doesn't really mean anything to anybody else.
Well, right. I think that and who do they have on their schedule now? Like they won 4 games in a row, right? But now they gotta play real teams.
Are you talking for Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah, because so far, Let's see. They beat North Dakota State. They got beat by Nebraska. They beat Colorado State. They beat Baylor, and they beat UCF.
So they're 4-1.
Yeah, they're 4-1.
Yep.
So they have a bye week this week, and then Colorado has Kansas State coming to Colorado after the bye.
Yep.
And that would be a signature win because Kansas State's also 4-1, but they're number 20.
Yeah, they're an actual ranked school. They actually don't have.
I mean, the rest of their schedule is fairly tough, I guess, depending on how you look at it, because they go to Arizona, who's 3-1, then they get Cincinnati at home. They go to Texas Tech, who's 4-1. They get number 18 Utah at home. They get Oklahoma State at home, and then they have Kansas on the road.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it seems like they will be a bowl eligible team, right? Like I imagine they can at least get 2 wins out of that. So
Yeah, it sounds like 7-5.
yeah, I can go with that. But yeah, I mean, when you look at last year, it was like, okay, they had a few good wins, but most of their schedule had ranked schools, and they did not do particularly well. And then you look at this offseason, there was a lot of moving around, right? A lot of transfers in and out. So you're kind of starting over outside of your couple of key guys that you've taken everywhere with you.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But, the thing that's funny is if they go 7-5, that's still a step forward, as far as anybody's concerned.
It is, especially when they were 4-8 last year, and they started the year 3-0, and pretty much after that the bottom fell out.
Well, yeah, because the rest of their schedule is ranked teams. This time around, you only have 2 ranked teams on your schedule at all.
Yep.
I mean, you should do better if you have that many less ranked schools on your schedule. Because I mean, when you look at last year,
Are they ranked? Are they ranked at all? Are they even in the honorable mention yet?
Colorado?
Yeah.
No, I don't think
no,
so.
they're not ranked.
Because last year they got ranked. They won 3 games. They're like, oh, this team's great. We're going to put them at 16. And then they pooped the bed and then pooped the bed and then pooped the bed.
Yeah, no, I mean, they kept talking about how they were going to win a national championship after the first win. It was just like, man, talk about overreaction Monday. Like, what are we doing right now?
So,
and you're not wrong. They shouldn't be ranked. At least not as of yet. Let them beat someone good. Like,
like who? Who do they even play? It didn't even sound like there was anybody good on their.
They have 2 ranked teams. They're not even like top ranked teams, but Kansas State that they have next week.
Kansas State's pretty solid.
It's a decent team. So like that'll be their first actual test. Utah at 18. Utah will be interesting because of their defense.
Yeah. I mean, even Oklahoma State's sitting at 3-2 right now. Oklahoma State's still a tough school that they'll see later in the year too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of these that are tough outs, but they're not ranked, right? So they won't be viewed quite the same. And Kyle, I think you're probably right. He would be a 3rd, 4th rounder if he didn't have the media train with him.
Who?
Shedeur.
Oh, he's. I don't know. I think he's going to be a 2nd rounder.
No, what his point is that he's gonna be higher than he should be because of Dion.
Yes and no. I still think he would have been a 2nd rounder regardless. He is a good quarterback.
No, he is, and he's more prototypical, right? Like he likes to throw from the pocket. He's not one of those scrambling guys. So
I think because of Dion, he could be taken in the 1st round. I think if he did not have Dion, I think he still would have been a day 2 selection, either round 2 or round 3, because he's a good enough quarterback where if you draft him and you draft him to the right situation, he can win you games. It's just that he's going to have all that media publicity behind him because of Deion Sanders that someone might take a swing at him in the first round because of it.
Well, and I think that's what's going to be the case is someone's going to take him in the first round, and it's going to be because of the media train that goes with it, not necessarily because the skill set warrants that. But, we'll see. Be interesting to watch.
Yes, it will be. I don't think that they're going to be very good, but you never know.
No, I mean, that's the thing is they're gonna beat bad schools, and they're gonna lose to good schools.
And then they'll toss-up games in between.
Well, and their schedule is light enough that they'll be bowl eligible, and that'll get hyped up as look how much better they are over last year. And you're like, yeah, well, but like 8 of your games last year were ranked schools when you played them. So, are you actually better, or is your schedule just worse? So, but first half of the show brought to you by True Fusion Gym. Use QR code on the screen. You can get a free 5-day pass at any of the 3 locations, whether it's Bellevue, Ballard, or University Village. Pilates, boot camp, yoga. They also have hot rooms. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. And of course, if you are into sports betting, you can bet right alongside us here at Coast to Coast. If you use the QR code on the screen, get up to 125% of your initial deposit, up to 3 of those, and 10% bet guarantee on if you just happen to be bad at sports betting, which, most people are. So use the QR code on the screen, bet alongside us here at Coast to Coast. All right.
And if you want to buy tickets to Eagles games or Phillies games, you can use the code PSG25 with TickPick. The price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees.
And if you subscribe to his OnlyFans, it's a different kind of pick, but it rhymes.
I literally just put that in the private chat right as you were saying it.
And even though this comment wasn't for us, it was for Shador. It's also accurate.
Exactly.
So we do have Thursday Night Football tonight. We got the Falcons, Tampa Bay. And so what are you guys thinking? Do you think Baker is that one bad game was the outlier, or do you think he goes on the road, comes up short? And do you think that it's Kirk Cochains tonight, or do you think it's primetime Kirk that terrible?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, to Kirk Cousins' credit, he hasn't played bad on primetime this year. He really hasn't.
No, he hasn't.
And even going back
to one game.
Take it easy.
Even going back to his last couple of years in Minnesota, his primetime record his last 2 years in Minnesota, I think, was 6-3. So it's not like he has been playing bad on primetime. Because you got to remember,
the year don't really have that many primetime.
The year that Minnesota won the division when they won 12-5 that year, they had 6 primetime games, and he went 5-1 that year on primetime. Because they had 3 Sunday night games and 2 Monday night games. Then they had another primetime game on Christmas because they played on a Christmas game. And their only loss was that week 2 loss at Philadelphia when Philadelphia went up 30-7 and Cousins threw like 4 touchdowns in the second half to make that like a 3-point game.
I feel like we got to fact check that one. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, Cousins actually. I mean, I hated Cousins for the longest time, but to his credit, he has been playing much better in primetime the last couple of years. But I don't know, something about Tampa Bay I like. Like, Tampa Bay is one of those teams that I don't think enough people are talking about because of the start they've gotten off to. And they're like one of those teams where they've won that NFC South the last few years without Tom Brady there. And granted, it hasn't been like impressive. They've been 9-8 and 8-9, so I mean they're getting it done. But like this is a year where they could probably win 11 games this year because Mayfield is, he's not a top 10 quarterback by any means, but he's a good quarterback. He won Cleveland Browns a playoff game. He was the last quarterback in Cleveland to win a playoff game. And now look at the situation Cleveland is in for getting rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they got Michael Evans. Michael Evans is really good.
So is Godwin.
And they got Bucky. Bucky, is that the guy's name? The new the running back for rookie.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I just can't think of his name off the top of my head. But
I think his name is Bucky because I think that's what they were calling him. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't think Atlanta has got a great team. They haven't quite figured out how to use their offense properly yet.
Yeah.
They got one of the best tight ends in the league who's gotten a whole 68 yards over the first 4 weeks.
Well, and they can't figure out how to use Bijan. Like there's some weirdness with the team that has a nice roster.
So, and I mean, ultimately, we were thinking that Penix would be out here by game 5.
I'm
And
surprised he's not.
Right.
We were wrong.
Like it seemed like he should be at this point. Oh, it is Bucky. Yeah, Bucky Irving.
That's his name, Bucky Irving, yes.
Yeah, it was bothering me. I was like, I have to look this up. Like,
But I mean, ultimately, it's I don't know. I think that it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a matter of time. I think that he's going to sit all season long. I think that as long as he can stay healthy, why would you switch up right now?
Right.
I mean, what, you're 2-2, right? As the Atlanta Falcons, you're 2-2.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on if you're really trying to make a push for, win the division. Because, I mean, you only have to eat Kirk's contract for 2 years anyway. Because the third year, although there is guaranteed money, it's only like $10 million. So it's not crazy when it comes to, the cap hit. And you have Penix for free anyway. So even if you were to sit Cousins, it doesn't matter, right? So, I mean, I guess it depends on what it is their team looks like. Like if you're winning with Cousins, sure, you leave him in there. If you're still within striking distance and he's just not getting it done, why not make the shift?
Well, the problem is he is getting it done. And the leg is holding up.
So far, so good. So far, so I mean, that's ultimately what I think takes him out is he gets hurt. And I understand he's largely been healthy through his career, right? He's not one of the injury prone guys, but you went from a guy that wasn't mobile to he really isn't mobile now. So it seems like at some point during this year, a couple of these teams are going to get home and probably knock him out of a game.
Maybe. Or, I mean, you never know. Like I said, he's been so far, he's gotten hit.
He has gotten hit.
So he's been holding up so far. We'll see. I mean, it's like I'm not trying to wish injury on him.
No, I mean, I don't have a horse in the race on that. Whether Atlanta's good or bad doesn't matter to me. But that being said, kind of want to see what Penix has, right?
I think a lot of people do.
Well, I don't think anybody really it doesn't really matter that much to them.
Yeah.
Like they say, listen, if we're going to win, we're winning. So they don't care. I mean, Atlanta has not done any winning since they were at the Super Bowl and lost.
So, yeah. So, Kirk Cousins, this is going back to 2021. Now I did some digging.
Okay.
So, Kirk Cousins is 8-10 in primetime games since the end of the 2021 season. 6-3 in primetime games as a Viking quarterback from 2022 on.
Huh.
So, I mean, he has, to his defense, he has been playing much better in primetime nowadays than what he was when he first started. And he's the number 6 rated passer all time in primetime. In terms of quarterback rating and everything else, he's got the 6th highest quarterback rating in primetime games. So even if the wins and losses don't translate, he's played pretty well in primetime his entire career to be a top 6 quarterback in terms of primetime quarterback rating.
Well, I mean, that has always been true, though. Like he's always been able to get a lot of yards, a lot of points.
And that's
usually it came down to defense not doing their job.
Yeah, and that's why when everyone says like Kirk Cousins struggles on primetime, I just have a hard time just sitting here saying he does because he really doesn't have that hard of a time playing on primetime. It's the other aspects of the team that have never really given him help.
No, it's funny because Kirk Cousins is actually the opposite of Jimmy G, who he struggles every game,
Mhm.
but his win percentage is awesome.
Yeah.
So the teams end up winning in spite of him, but he's on the roster, so he gets credited with the win. And Cousins, on the other hand, similarly, can actually have a good game, have an ill-timed interception, and the defense can't do anything. They lose, but he's the quarterback of the day, so he gets that L.
Yep.
You got to wear that thing.
That happens frequently.
Oh yeah.
So, but I mean, hey, it's the same thing happens right now with the Eagles. The defense can't stop can't stop the water running from even turning off a faucet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, the Eagles have looked rough. Like it is, and it doesn't make sense because again, you look at the roster and they should not be playing the way they're playing.
No, not at all.
Agreed. I'm completely laying my hat on the fact that these are preseason games that count.
They are, although you're getting to the point in the year.
No, no more excuses on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, realistically, week 3 should have been it. Like your first couple weeks.
Not really. I think it's still 4 weeks. I think it still takes 4 weeks. But you can't have the egg that you laid last week.
No, that was rough.
You can't come back out next week after a bye week now.
Yeah, you can't come out and look flat.
Against Cleveland, no less.
Like even if they win against Cleveland, they can't come out looking flat.
Right.
Yeah, it can't be like you got to beat the brakes off the Browns.
As bad as the Eagles played last week, they probably still could have beat the Browns last week. But that's what, like, even if you beat the Browns like 21-14, are you really happy with that win, or is it still like, it's still?
I mean, if it's a touchdown, I think you're still okay. Like if you win by 2 or 3 points, that's where you're like, man, we got to figure some stuff out because that team.
I disagree with that thought process too. Like if it's a 35-32 game,
I wasn't thinking the score would be that high.
Yeah, so that's where. Well, and I now at this point, I'm thinking that it might be.
Okay.
Our defense hasn't shown anything to allow us to, be able to just run away with games.
Mm-hmm.
So my expectation is that we're going to have to outscore them. Now, when we have our best offensive lineman back and our 2 top receivers back, all of a sudden this is a much different team. So,
see, I was looking at it. I was looking at it the opposite way. I was looking at it as your defense can't stop anything, but their offense is inept, right? So it's still not going to be like they're kind of evenly matched. You guys have an offense that should be able to score, but they have a very good defense. So I was thinking this was going to be like a, 17-20 kind of game. Just some ugly football.
You're talking next week.
Yeah, against the Browns. Yeah.
So, if that's the case, they got lots of splaining to do. That's not going to fly in Philadelphia.
And that's why I say that. I was like, if that's the way the game comes out, like that is all of a sudden now people are mad because they're like, what are we doing? Because the roster does not show that that's how it should go.
Right. 100%. I think that, like I said, we'll see. We will see. This is way, obviously, I think they're all playing for their job because
that's fair.
Kellen Moore is not impressed me at all. Vic Fangio, even less so.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest surprise, more so than Kellen Moore, just because Kellen Moore has a history of being an underwhelming offensive coordinator. It's Vic Fangio, who's always been known as one of the best defensive coordinators in the game, and right now it just looks like he has no idea what to do.
Well, and you went from one of his disciples to the guy.
Yeah, Sean Desai. Yeah.
It was going to be like a step up, right? Because the copy is never quite the same as the original. So you move the original in there. You're like, okay, this should tighten things up. And instead, like, man, it's been ugly.
Well, and so this is where I come out and wonder, like, is this asshole syndrome?
Could be.
For the team. Like,
Yeah.
like they just, these kids these days do not deal with old school coaching.
They don't
They
like
don't.
hard coaching at all.
And he is an old school coach. Now, I got to imagine, when you're playing at Georgia or you're playing at Alabama, that Nick Saban was an old school to style coach.
Sure.
He comes across to me that way.
He is, yeah.
I don't know. I never play for him, so I
Sure.
can't say that. Georgia, I got to imagine, is very similar. Like, you better do what I say or you ain't playing.
Yeah, but I think it's the consistent rings that help kind of smooth some of that over, right? Whereas when you're going to some of these NFL teams and they're coaching you hard, but they haven't won anything, all of a sudden, it's like Dallas, right?
Mhm.
You have Zimmer come in, also old style coach, get in your face kind of guy, coaches you hard. You're going from a Dan Quinn defense that already, was
Really
kind of
good.
falling apart at the end of last year. And you bring in a guy similarly, right? Like you're talking about asshole syndrome. This defense can't stop anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
And-
kind of similar situation.
And when you look at Vic Fangio's record over the last 5 years, there's only been one season where he had a somewhat halfway decent defense.
And that was his first year in Denver when he was the head coach.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the defense hasn't been great across the board. And the truth of the matter is that I'm tired of these defenses right now that don't like the blitz. They don't know how to spell the word blitz.
Brian
Yeah.
Flores does. Brian
Who?
Flores knows how to spell the word blitz. He knows how to spell the word blitz very well.
Yeah, he does dial those up. Oh,
So-
or you could just go the Lions route and just hold on every play. The best way to lock down a receiver
That's
is just
the-
hang on to the guy.
That's the Aaron Glenn style. Yeah, Brian Flores knows how to blitz. He blitzes 72% of the time. He knows how to spell blitz.
Yeah, well, I tell you, ever since, I even go when we won the Super Bowl, the defensive coordinator then didn't blitz, didn't know how to spell the word blitz. And we've had, it's in fact, the one blitz that he did in the Super Bowl, guess what they did? They got to Tom Brady. He
Yeah.
fumbled the ball.
Yep.
I mean, your replacement defensive coordinator last year typically knows how to spell blitz, but for whatever reason, he didn't know how to spell it last year.
Yeah, and I don't know why they can't seem to do very well with it. Like, it's just what's the disconnect? Do we not have guys? Are we afraid of leaving guys open? They play this defense that saves you from getting the big play, but they just dink and dunk all over the place. And then they get medium-sized plays, not even small plays. You get them medium plays, them 15 to 30-yard plays or 15 to 25-yard plays that they're just killing us with.
Yeah, I never like when I see a cover two where your safeties are 30 yards back.
Yeah.
I've never got that. Like, you've basically removed them from the play. Like, I don't mind cover two, but at least have those guys in the play, because if you have a guy that's doing, a deep cross route, you're in between the linebackers and the safety, and that's open all day. Like, I've never understood that long drop back. And I mean, in a prevent situation, as much as I hate prevent, you at least kind of get it, right?
Yeah.
When it's just like normal coverage, like, what are you doing? You just conceded a 20-yard completion because nobody's anywhere near the guy.
Right. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And the other problem I have is that, I mean, obviously Slay is supposed to be a really good cornerback. I think the age has caught up with him.
Yeah.
Garner Johnson, same situation. He's a good safety, but I think it just he's lost a half a step, and that half a step is meaningful. Our best cornerback right now is the rookie.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Quinyon
Which
Mitchell.
one? DeJean or the other one?
No, Mitchell.
Mitchell.
DeJean hasn't really gotten out there very much.
And when he did, he fumbled a punt, didn't he?
Well, he got. Well, you can't blame him for that.
Yeah, I know, but that's the only thing that I haven't seen the Eagles much this year because obviously the NFL is localized and regionalized games. So unless they're on prime time, I haven't been able to see him. The only play that I've seen of Cooper DeJean this year was a fumbled punt. I'm like, oh, that sucks. So I like Cooper.
He got the guy pushed into him, and then of course they picked up the flag, so there was no flag on the play. It's like you guys are just cheating, straight cheating. But it is what it is. You can't blame the refs for that. But our best cornerback has been Quinyon Mitchell, and they've been going after him.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think he's got the most blocks or the most deflected passes in the NFL right now.
Okay, so he's getting targeted. Yeah,
a lot. He's getting targeted. They're staying away from Slay, but he's holding his own. Like
Perfect.
even against Mike Evans, he's been holding his own pretty well. So, and they said he probably could have got his first interception if there was an offensive pass interference that was never called, because he was right there, and Mike Evans literally just about took his helmet off.
Quinyon Mitchell's third in the NFL with six pass breakups.
Nice.
So, I mean, he's literally been targeted, and they've been going after him. Like I said, I think he's doing. Do you have the rest of his stats there? Like how much, like what percentage of the passes that go his way are getting through?
That's right. Got to earn those wages today.
Nope.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't really say too much on that. But it doesn't really say like the completion percentage or anything on that. This just shows like his tackles, assisted tackles, tackles for loss, passes.
That's usually where you go into the next gen, where you get the win rates and all that.
Right.
I do know the completion percentage is around 50%, though. It might even be lower than 50%.
Which is great for a rookie.
Especially for a rookie, yeah.
So he was the best cornerback in the draft. They said that. So I fully believe it. He's playing as such. Even though he came from a smaller school, the bigger school wanted him, and he said, nope, he's a loyal guy. So I think he's going to be here for a long time, and I want him here for a long time the way he's been playing. So, and a quiet guy. Mm-hmm. He doesn't go bapping off his mouth, because I've been hearing a little bit of that around now because of the whole. They went on the Micah Parsons show. Slay went on the Micah Parsons show, and they were poking a little bit of fun at Garner Johnson because he said, we're going to take strap to ass today. And they got that strap on their ass.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be careful about sound bites before a game.
Yeah, I mean, one of my highest trending videos was, "Hey, we're down by 17, but I didn't hear no bell. This game ain't over yet."
And now it's over.
Well, no, the best line of that day was, "I'm not hearing a bell, but I sure am hearing them cannons go off a lot."
Yep.
There's nothing I can say about that. I'm like, wow, that's hysterical.
And Brad, we actually started the show talking baseball, and the Mets very well could be the Mets and be done.
Well, now that he brought up baseball, quick, did you hear what just happened to the Marlins?
No, what's up?
So you know how Skip Schumacher basically said he's not coming back.
Okay.
The Marlins have let go of 80 staff members in the last 2 days since Schumacher has said he was resigning.
crazy.
That is more than a clean house. That is like a complete organizational gutting.
Wow.
Are they moving the team?
It
That's
just
what I
says,
was
it just says Miami's cleaning house after Schumacher's exit. Marlins let go of 80 plus staffers.
Dang.
That's not even like cleaning house. That's like completely gutting your organization from the inside out.
Yeah. I mean, that does make you think, are they moving?
Like, how many staff members do you have on a team?
Well, 80 less now.
But I'm just saying in general, like,
Well, I would imagine it's a lot, right? But yeah, that seems like a crazy amount to be cutting. Crazy stuff. That being said, brings us to the end of the show. If you're watching here on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. If you're watching on Roku, be sure to stay tuned for the next hour. And yeah, other than that, we will see you tomorrow. Except for Philly, we will see you next week.
Sounds good. Later.
See ya.